I'd love to welcome everybody back to the Independent Investor channel for a Friday live stream here. Welcome to all of the subscribers to the channel, the devout subscribers, and welcome to any new visitors that are making their way in for the fastest 60 minutes on YouTube. We typically try to go for 60 minutes. If you don't have that kind of time, no problem. Add a little bit of voice of reason during some introduced volatility to the market. We've been through ebbs and flows throughout the years on the channel. My name's Ryan. You can leave your comments in the comments section. I also left a VIP invite to anybody who's making their way into the live stream here on a Friday that wants to make themselves famous, right? They can become a celebrity. Come and hang out with me on the Independent Investor channel. No, this project means a whole lot different than what people may perceive it to mean. Most of the people who are patrons to the message like to come in and frequent the channel to hear about my even-keeled approach to especially times like this when volatility kicks up a little bit. I made a post to X today that spoke about always doing the obvious. I bought Amazon in the face of what was considered to be a dismal quarter for the company. I find that hard to believe with their AWS revenue. I think they clipped to 19% growth in AWS. And I don't quite understand. I'm watching stocks, man, they're off just a bip on either the top or bottom line, and the stock gets punished. These are good companies. Now, I really wouldn't put Intel in that. That was the most disappointing set of earnings this week, unfortunately. I did parlay my shares today. You look at the performance of Intel over the last 10, 20 years, and it is just drastically underperformed the market. And really, proof is in the pudding with regard to the lackadaisical performance that you can get if you're not careful with single stock application. I'm not suggesting that single stock can't be lucrative. Okay, we've had some opportunities on some of the stocks that I cover on the channel that have done quite well. And that's great too. Some of them have been a couple of years in the making, and we're happy to report out that those holdings are doing quite good. But certainly 1 or 2 days doesn't make a market. Some obvious rotations is going on. I felt like that was probably a slightly overdue in the technology sector. I mean, Meta blew out the numbers, and Apple had a great quarter. Amazon disappointed, Google disappointed. We'll see when, the real tell for me is going to be when NVIDIA reports here, because NVIDIA is getting drugged down as well. The chip space is really taking it on the chin here, in the face of what has been a fantastic year for chips. Typically would look at this as a buying opportunity. I am holding the shares in both Broadcom and NVIDIA here, and will continue to monitor the landscape going forward. I think the real opportunity is made possible through small caps right now. I'm not trying to advocate for trying to time the market or dump your entire life savings into each of these respective areas that I talk about. What I do is try to share with you guys a strategy so that I can be as prepared as I can to buffer downtrending markets, of course, but to profit on all fronts when evidently there's a fairly nice rotation into value right now if you're paying close attention. Some of the older value stocks are getting some really good performance out of this market, and that specific section of the portfolio is doing well. Technology is rolling off. I'm closely monitoring it, and I'll take advantage as appropriate if I think that the reaction to what's going on is overblown. And I just thought Amazon was overblown. I thought the rare slight miss coming off of what has been historically a weak quarter for Amazon anyway. was really kind of a tough beat for Amazon. And I'll be there to swoop up shares, in a relative sense. During times like that, I actually bought some S&P shares today. I haven't done that all year. Now I've been dollar cost averaging into the position, as you guys well know, which is a strategy that I deploy like putting on my seatbelt. I do that and I don't lose sleep over it. I don't care if I'm buying the markets low. I don't care if I'm buying the markets high. I'm always continuing to fund markets over time, but on an exacerbated sell-off of 900, nice little injection point. I didn't go crazy. I bought 10 shares. So about a $4,000 block. I took some liquidations on some stock that have been augmented by some fantastic gains in Aduro clean technology. We'll talk about that too, because I think it's worth mentioning on the live stream tonight. If there's any topic out there that you would like me to discuss, leave it in the comment section. Just be aware that the best topics are those ones that allow me to speak from a broad perspective and not necessarily from a specifics perspective on a live stream, because this is unscripted and it is really just open to what you guys need. That's the end of it. I provide this content through YouTube once a week. It is my one opportunity to come on unabated and share my thoughts over to a YouTube audience, and in turn allow that audience to convey what they're seeing in the market to me as well. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to share information. I think it's a great way to share perspectives. It speaks to my goal of really looking to embolden people in understanding their true potential, and their potential can be as easy as just doing what I'm doing with regard to S&P 500 investing, or maybe looking at this and maybe increase a funding schedule to a 401k. All kinds of different avenues of how people are building wealth, and the idea is to promote a better financial habits in looking at wealth building over time, as opposed to reacting to what has been a fairly volatile couple of days. We will do a portfolio review for you guys. So those of you guys that are new to the Independent Investor channel, perhaps maybe you're here live, lucky enough to catch it live, or you're catching it on the replay. It's nice to be able to jump in and take a look at how my plan, as it's deployed, creates the results that I convey through social media. Okay. So very, very interesting to kind of understand the multiple strategies that I'm deploying. I'm not a one-trick pony. I declared on the panel this week. I was put on the spot a little bit. I had 𝑪𝑢𝑠𝑡�𝑜𝑚 and 𝑦𝑒𝑠𝑡𝑒 on the panel discussion with regard to Aduro and the couple announcements that really are, quite frankly, monumental in the evolution of the company. But I was asked, what do you think, about being introduced to microcap stocks and this and that. Look, here's the funny thing. I'm quick to give credit where credit is due. One thing that makes me very, very rare, and I've seen commentary that if you can kind of understand your strengths and your weaknesses, that might be half the battle. And if you look at certain elements of investing and say, you know what, I see that people are making money with Bitcoin, but I'm not really interested in it. And you can have that discipline to make decisions over your money that put you in the driver's seat with regard to making those decisions, and not somebody else. And especially somebody selling you on an idea that you're uncomfortable with, then that's the key on the channel. Is the quicker I can get you to a point to where you understand that you and you alone should be the one in the driver's seat making the decisions over your money, it's a very, very empowering feeling. And you don't have to invest in everything. The irony, I guess, in the question to me was interesting. I've been building wealth ever since I was 15 years old, whether it be in the form of a piggy bank, or working very, very low paying jobs, just to start on the money discipline and start build my psychology over money. And although at 46 years old, the results are really starting to materialize, I stress to people all the time that the most important thing is the psychology over your money. And I think in relation to the psychology that you have over your money, it is even more important to understand the additional attributes that you embolden in your life. Okay. That's why I convey that my gym schedule. I was in the gym again 5 days a week. I don't mention that every Friday to somehow suggest that I'm a beach body. Okay. I'm not Richard Simmons. Okay. But the idea here is to promote not only a sound financial application, but a well-rounded approach to your entire life. Okay. If social media wishes to judge me based on the size of my portfolio, I really think that you're missing the point, and I think that's a shallow application to be awarded to somebody like myself, who, you know, my positive attributes in my life have very little to do with, the financial application. It just so happens to be a passion of mine, yes, but the relationships in your life, the ones very closest to you, your kids, right? Yeah, your quality of life and where you're domiciled. I'm seeing reports about consumer spending falling off. Well, the sheer misery of it is that Americans spend too much in general. Okay. I don't spend a thing. You guys know this is my uniform for Friday night. I put on my most comfortable Nike shirt and I come and rock it out. Why? Because if you're not going to have respect for me based on my holistic approach, no problem. Go do your own thing. As long as it lends itself to some level of successful mindset and approaching a holistic life for you and your family. Okay. I don't quite understand why we have to live in a society and roll over and follow every single person out there that is wishing to sell you on the next best idea. As a matter of fact, I think some of the best application you could deploy is sitting back in most cases, if not all of them, and watching the influences go by, okay? Because you have command over the influences that you want to let in. Sound financial application, right? An awareness to what the market is doing. An awareness, my friends. I'm not suggesting you don't pay attention, okay? Pay attention to markets, but don't react to everything that you have coming down the pike in the markets. That's the irony in why I title these videos the way that I do. I throw out the status quo in my titles. This is the way I think that society interprets financial markets. I believe that CNBC puts that stuff in there full well knowing that they have the data and analytics on how to influence you in your day-to-day decision making. Okay. Where are the people that were just coming on as early as a couple of weeks ago, if not a week ago, talking about how awesome the stock market is, how on fire the Magnificent Seven is, and now all of a sudden they're going to zero, right? We're going to roll off and we're going to have some level of massive rotation. Nobody actually talks about the amount of money and the magnitude of top end revenue that Amazon is generating compared to historical generations. Amazon trading close to 200 was actually trading cheaper than it has traded historically, right? So with this recent digression, it just gave me a $30 break on the stock price. Nice to take a little bit of addition to an already existing position. Now, do I have my entire life funding in Amazon? No. The position that I have is relative to the portfolio I had 75 shares for quite a long time. I took quite a bit of appreciation in those shares, rounded the shares up to an even 100 today. That's what I did. Okay. Crazy, right, wrong, indifferent. Am I going to lose sleep because I'm buying a falling knife? Well, my falling knife just happens to be a company that I love. I love what they're doing, and I think with their growth in cloud, I think it's going to be $100 billion business here, and you know, in short order. So investing now in a microscope, right, where the market wants to drive down a company like Amazon because of poor earnings. I think it was 58 billion and the street was calling for 59, you know? And it's like, okay, let's hammer the stock and drop it multiple billions of dollars in market cap. And it's like, I've made money on after hours and the volatility. I just had a feeling that this earnings was going to be a little bit more rough and a lot less predictable. If I would have had to put my bets on it, I would have put my bets on Meta. I wouldn't have bet Apple. That's for sure. So it was somewhat interesting to see to Apple come through with a good quarter. The Amazon quarter did not surprise me. I would have called that for sure. But investing in a company like that is not it's not hard. It's easy. Matt's offering his comments here. Amazon trading at 19 price. That's exactly what I'm talking. I mean, look, are you investing for next month or next year? As I've grown with these companies over time, and I don't know how Matt feels about this, and I'm not sure where the position fits relative to the total overall whole for Matt specifically. But for me to own Amazon just makes total sense, along with a significant amount of other names as well. I declared to you guys the names that I don't currently own, that I would like to own. And as this volatility kicks up a little bit, we'll continue to monitor the landscape and we'll pick away at those opportunities as appropriate. But I see value holding in here fairly strong. I do think, if there's going to be a rotation, it's going to be a rotation out of the hottest sector, and that has been chips and the AI trade, and there's some scuttlebutt about an AI bubble. Okay, call it what you will. I would suggest that most of the big tech is actually increasing their budget spend toward AI, right? So whether or not that's going to materialize into the future, it is my, of course, bullish conviction to suggest that it will, right? So do you want to own a Meta here? Do you want to own a Google, an Amazon, or the Mag 7 as they call it? I look at the Mag 7 and I quite frankly don't understand. I've really never been on the Tesla bandwagon because it's just not a product that I can fully get behind based on my research and the cradle to grave philosophy of it being the greatest thing for the environment. And I actually believe that it's a negative for the environment, the complete opposite. Through my evaluation, people seemingly like the car, and that's great for people. But when I look at a company that flies the flag of being environmentally friendly and reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, et cetera, I have a hard time grasping this idea, especially for a discretionary item. I could pick, 10 hybrids or all electric vehicles that I would rather have over a Tesla just for aesthetics, brand acknowledgement, and performance. So I just look, if I was part of the hype train, I guess I would probably have a bullish conviction on Tesla. I'm just not part of it. Um, the Tesla bulls are very, very devoted. It's quite a cult. It's impressive to watch. So I congratulate you on said cult, but that's always included in that upper echelon of stock discussion in the Mag 7, and I don't quite understand it. Obviously, I own it passively through owning the broader markets, but to own the stock individually makes more sense to devote more of those dollars to, let's say, a name like an Amazon, and a stock that I do not currently own right now. I've owned it off and on ever since it IPO'd many, many moons ago, and that's Meta, at the time Facebook. And I'm okay with that too. You know, those are all stocks that we own indirectly through the through the S&P 500. I'm okay with that too. You know, um, little pockets of the portfolio that perform that I've put in place a number of years ago are starting to perform. Times like this, or where you really need to look at what has worked, and what potentially could work into the future. So those are some of the deliberations that I'm going through right now, and what I see is a potential emergence in European markets. I would say small caps number one. Okay, guys, small caps have been driven down so much, and they had been left for dead over the last multiple years, and that is historically not sustainable. Okay. And the small cap market, I gave you the report on the ETFs turning a positive just for the first time in multiple years. I think that's going to be a pocket of strength, and I think that's going to continue. Okay. Hopefully. Okay. I think with the roll off of interest rates and the reduction of the prime interest rate, I think that is going to mean an optic of more available liquidity in a perception through companies that may need that capital more, which I think could be a tailwind for the entire group of small caps anyway. So Europe is going to be an interesting place as well. I think European stocks is also something that has been out of favor for a long, long time. I would look for some of the European markets to improve. I think we're going to end 2024 in a good fashion. I just think we're going through a little bit of adjustment right now, coming off of markets that were red hot, needed to cool down, and needed to have a little bit of a garden variety sell off. I look at these sell offs, guys, and they feel normal to me. That this doesn't feel atypical. Okay. You're always going to have your naysayers, and okay, we're at the fourth turning of the world, and stocks are going to go to dust, and Nvidia is going to cease to exist. I don't know. Um, I'm not in that camp. Um, I protect myself against the inevitable potential downturn in any stock out there, by controlling that through scale. I mean, that's the key to my application, is understanding the appropriate level to scale into a position with a risk reward basis. Now, what I'm doing with Aduro is what some would consider to be crazy. Okay. I understand. It's not for the faint of heart. I totally understand. Okay. But for you guys that missed it, the panel discussion was interesting. We released that was close to an hour of discussion, and Mariusz has good insights on the company. Yazan has extremely good insights on the company. Have them both on the channel this week. If you haven't caught that content, it was quite good. I released a non-interrupted version of it. There's no commercials, just like I released the live stream now with no commercials. I just kind of fling it at the man a little bit, the man being YouTube. And I'm like, look, I kind of feel scoffed a little bit from YouTube. I don't fit the mold in a way of elegant delivery on YouTube, which is okay too. I like people who are normal, like Matt Money. He's normal. He's a phenomenal investor. But as far as YouTube acknowledging that the guy's a phenomenal investor and actually, supporting that initiative, that's not going to happen, right? Why would we want to support that? I mean, we would rather, support people coming onto YouTube and farting into the screen and punching themselves in the face over and over. I mean, that seems to be more entertaining to people than learning a little bit of psychology about financial discipline. But and that's my thing, is it allows me to go even more independent. I'm making more money on social media than I've ever made in my life. So I can do the live stream for free. I don't have to bog that down, the purity of the message for 60 minutes on the YouTube channel costs you nothing. I do it for free, and therefore you get a product that is uninterrupted and unabated. And I'm glad to offer the product. It's a lot of fun for me. It's really cool for me to offer it in that capacity. I think it should be appreciated through the channel if I was going to earn your subscription, and you weren't interested in being turned on to a company like Plurilock that's up what, how many thousands, 1,700% since the first of the year. I've made so much money, I can't even figure the juice, baby, on Plurilock. Aduro is my first $50,000 position in my life now, and that's just the beginning. We're 40 bips up in the position, and that's just the beginning. Okay, so for you guys that don't know, Aduro just announced the uplisting through IPO to the New York Stock Exchange. The F1 filing has been submitted. It is being vetted, and we can expect that once the final iteration is accepted, that IPO will be processed for uplisting here in the United States, the New York Stock Exchange. My 2 cents on it is very, very simple. Does it change anything fundamentally with the company? Absolutely not. It's the same company that we've been talking about at least up to a couple of months ago. I'm not going to say a couple of years ago because I think there's been way too much evolution fundamentally, as slow it may has been perceived. It would be unfair to suggest that the fundamentals were same as 2 years ago because there's just been way too many onboarding of customer engagement news that is broke with regard to their dossier on the companies that they have, specifically the 6 or 7 multi-billion-dollar companies that they are working with. Okay. And we've just been provided clarity on the second one. And for you guys that have been sleeping on the moon for the last couple of weeks, it is Total Energy. Total Energy is the Europe's equivalent to our ExxonMobil. Okay. Matt can speak on this. When I was over in France a couple of weeks ago, there is a Total Energy station on every single corner in France. Okay. It's just like here where we've got our fueling stations, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same idea. Okay. Now let that not be the judge. Total Energy has a market cap of around 157 billion. All right. Now, for them to partner with what I would consider to be, in the eyes of Total Energy, insignificant. Aduro just passed the 100 million mark as far as market cap. That is insignificant. They have no business whatsoever putting out a press release to the grander world with regard to their involvement with the company if they weren't serious about reporting out on the involvement with the company. Okay. So you kind of have to read between the lines a little bit here, guys, and understand the magnitude of the two announcements. Now, the latter announcement for their increased, or it's the progression along their customer engagement program with Total Energy, does fundamentally change the story, because if you pay attention to Total's sustainability goals, their 2030 goals to take half of the plastic and introduce it into circular economy, if you look at who they have onboarded currently, right? Pyrolysis is the governing technology now that they've got in-house. And the overall broadening theme is that pyrolysis has proved itself over and over and over again to be a less than adequate solution to a problem. How do we know this? We know this because landfills are being filled, our oceans are being filled, and 90% of the plastic is not being recycled. Why? It is because it is economically unviable to bring that plastic in and subject it to current technology in an economical fashion. It costs too much, right? So if there's not going to be ramification for large plastic producers, the best way to go about it is to turn a blind eye to it and allow that stuff to go to third world countries to be burned and kill people abroad, I mean, it's nasty what's going on right now, my friends. And the global audience is, as of late, picking up on this front. And I made this comment during the panel discussion. Me personally, I'm not surprised that Europe took the lead in this. It's absolutely in line with America being, again, behind the curve as far as these initiatives. I'm not sure where the status is with the Shell Game Changer program. I'm not sure. But to have Total step in and be that first one to the second and third collaborator stage and looking to garner some revenue off of that, what comes out of it, guys? I don't know. I do not know. What I can do is I can report to you that the press release just was released on Monday of this week, and it was a big one. And we know that there's at least 5 others. We know that there are dossiers on companies out there that they're engaging with. It's just every single new piece of validation that we have only solidifies the eventual realization that we will have commercial reactors in strategic locations, multiple locations, with the magic of the Aduro technology, hydrochemolytic technology, working and recycling plastic to the efficacy rate, right? The efficiency rate of 95% that we know exists now. So you can come to me and you can suggest that the company doesn't make revenue. That's not true. They do, but they're premature of any type of meaningful revenue. But my goodness, guys, put two and two together a little bit and understand that all Aduro really needs to do is walk the path that's laid in front of them. And unless they can just try to screw this thing up, those deals, it's looking like, are going to materialize and fall in line. Now, Total comes over the top and offers 1.5 billion for Aduro Clean Technologies. All bets are off the table, okay? I'll exit stage left with my huge profit. But it's looking as though Aduro is looking to stay independent on their initiatives. That could change, okay? As long as the core fundamental technology and the need for that technology does not change, then I believe that the thesis of holding long on the stock actually strengthened just over the last couple of weeks. Not strengthened because it's going to New York Stock Exchange, but because of the announcement with Total Energy. Now, what comes out of the uplisting to the New York Stock Exchange? I've had a lot of people ask me about this. The company will incur a negative stock split. Okay. I do not like to use that term when it is used in the way that Aduro is using it to IPO to the New York Stock Exchange. Okay. To meet the minimum listing requirements, there may be some share consolidation, which means a proportionate increase in the stock price and a reduction in the share float. Okay. Yazan mentioned the awarding of the founder's shares. I believe that is absolutely prudent and overdue. I hope they take it. They've earned it. They've absolutely earned the right. They have delivered on all milestones. And I made the comment that I'm good with 2024. I'm happy. Total, I'm good. I'm good. Do what you got to do. I'm happy. Thank you. Because what's going to end up happening is once the shares uplist to the New York Stock Exchange, one word is going to be heir apparent when we enter into a new era of trading, and that is visibility. Okay. With visibility comes renewed access. Aduro traded every single day with anemic share volume, insignificant share volume. Okay. When it goes to the New York Stock Exchange, I look to see that improve to the tune of comparables in the space. I look at the daily action and Pure Cycle, trading well over 1 million shares. I look at a share base that is going to be reduced when it gets uplisted to the New York Stock Exchange, and it's anybody's guess as to how these new shares. You're going to get a new ticker symbol, my friends. So those of you who are confused as to what you need to do, you don't need to do anything. Um, I purchased 15,000 more shares today at these high prices because when the re-racking of the shares happen, you can't go back to this opportunity right now. I look at it like it's sitting at $1.40. Somebody has come to me and said, Ryan, we have the best recycling technology on the market. They're already in collaboration with multi-billion dollar companies. Total Energy is one, and they're IPOing within, let's just say, a couple of months to the New York Stock Exchange. We're going to give you an exclusive deal, partner. We're going to allow you to enter into, just like the venture capitalists enter into most IPOs, but you get to enter it at the bottom dollar price of $1.40. When the shares are restructured, we can expect that the new visibility is going to generate churn around the name, and there's going to be a renewed access, with an emphasis on access, to the name, which should generate some share action in the company. We should see some new action, some action that we've never seen before. So it will be a renewed dynamic over the company. Ryan, would you take that deal? Absolutely. I don't look at the difference between $1.40 and what was my cost basis aggregate across all of my share blocks of around, it was 92 cents, I believe, as really being that big of a deal, because I think once this period closes and ACTHF, the ticker, stops trading on the quality board markets, that activity is going to be closed down. That book of business will be closed down. And if you paid particular attention, I'm not going to speculate on the words of what somebody else provided to me on the panel, but I've already watched my panel back and listened to the insights that Yazan provides. He's providing that based on publicly known information, but we can kind of put the stars together a little bit and align them for what it could potentially mean. Why did they go public now? What is it going to mean for Aduro, right? Do they go public with or uplist to the New York Stock Exchange with nothing in the hopper to show for it? These are the ones that are involved in the conversations. You have to presume that if they're going to pay that uplisting fee and they're going to go to the New York Stock Exchange earlier than I thought that they would have, that they've got some positive news in the hopper. And that's just my premonition. And quite frankly, I thought the Total Energy should have got them up to that $3 stock price. And, that would have been an interesting proposal on the books. Now, what do you do? Do you do a 1 for 2? Do you do a a 1 for 1 and just offer the current share float because the stock price is at the minimum? I think they'll need to bake in a little bit of insurance into the deal. So I think they will at some point, irrespective of where the stock is or ends up at over the next couple of months, that they will try to bake in, reduce those share counts, increase the stock price to allow them to have some buffer in alpha of the minimum listing price to the New York Stock Exchange. That's just my comment on that. I'm super stoked at it. I've had a few positive comments on the channel for the first time on the Aduro coverage. And look, man, I get it. Okay. If it makes you feel better to come on and yell at a guy like myself that you don't even know, you're stupid. I'm an awesome investor and you suck. You're ruining people's lives. If that makes you feel good, awesome. So be it. I wish you all the best in that activity. I don't engage in that activity. I'm really just trying to come on and share it the way that I see it. But if this positive validation doesn't perk your attention, I'm not going to presume that there's going to be material riches that come from this. Okay. I think we are in an inevitable road to something very, very special. Okay. I'm interested in a time where I can take a plastic bottle, right, that is legacy, and a plastic bottle that is subject to or has been produced by the Aduro stock, right? Something that has taken this, put it through the reactor, and produced this. and I can come onto social media and I can say, this is the input, this is the output. It feels the same, right? It's just as safe for the product that I'm going to consume from that product. It looks the same, right? Its texture is the same. It's clear. It's not foggy, right? So when we can tangibly see how those reactors are actually participating in the circular economy, that's where the real revenue is. And the question is, do they have the potential to garner some share of the revenue that is there to be had in this blue ocean? The blue ocean being the plastic recycling industry, and addressing the plastic problem, and trying to give companies like Total Energy an out so they are not subject to the European tax, which is the very basis as to why I was not surprised that the announcement came from a $160 billion company domiciled in France. All right. It makes sense. They cannot be subjected to €1,000 per ton of plastic produced that's coming down the pike as a penalty without seeking some sort of an alternative solution. And pretty lofty goal by 2030 to introduce half of what they produce to the circular economy. But I haven't done the math on it. I don't need to. It means for a couple of bucks for those plastic producing companies that deploy their technology and either license the technology or partner with these large industries to make sure that they're getting that support to get the infrastructure cost cover to put these things in. It just makes sense to me. That's my 2 cents on it. I thought it was worth spending a couple of minutes on the live stream addressing the news from the last couple of weeks. I'm very, very excited, and it'll be fun to report out on the progress going forward. So very good stuff, guys, man. Let's get to some of the comments here. Start at the bottom. I got Victor in the house. Great to see you, my friend. Thanks for coming in on a Friday. It is a good evening. That was quite the rant. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked on the position, but I'm also fairly muted on, you know, if I was going to make a decision based on the stock price, I guess I would just sell the stock right now. I'm up. But a fundamental decision based on the progress of the company, I think we're still in the first inning, right? So I think to sell now would be extremely premature and short-sighted with regard to why I invested in the company in the first place. Very good stuff. Good to see. Good to see Matt in the house, man. I hope all is well, brother. Thanks for your devout subscribership and visitorship. You always got a place on the Independent Investor channel. The Japanese think on 20-year time horizons, and you'll see they offer mostly hybrids rather than full EVs. Smart. If I was going to look to dabble in this market, I drive some EVs at work, and they're incredible. Hybrids. Those that are fueled by fuel and are supplemented by battery power and operate on battery power during certain times of operation. It boosts we get like 600-700 miles to the tank, and I drive a minivan. Incredible. It's Dodge, I think, but it's one of their Echo hybrids, and it's phenomenal. I've driven a Hyundai hybrid. That got close to 700 miles per tank, guys. 750. It seemed like I was driving it forever. And what a wonderful supplement. I compare it to my Tacoma, and it's like, geez Louise, I get like 300, you know. And I know the Tacoma hybrid is coming down the pike. I've seen some of the numbers, and I'm really not that impressed. They're talking about some of the numbers that were projected as far as what my truck was supposed to get. But no, man, I totally agree with you. That's where my interest lies. But even some of the major manufacturers out there, Lexus, Mercedes, BMWs, those are much more attractive to me than going with a Tesla. Much more attractive. And I'd be more apt to just go with a standard Audi or a standard BMW or Mercedes as opposed to, you know, opting for a Tesla. I can't get my mind wrapped around the use case of driving a vehicle like that and relying on solely electric power for my needs. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing your comments. We got that in the house, man. Welcome to you, my friend. You got a comment here that I'll share with the group. When you went on vacation, I went back to 2020 and started listening to the live streams. Jesus, that's a hell of an idea. My goodness, we've covered some ground together. That's really cool, man. I appreciate that. I leave that legacy content on there. I've removed some of my legacy content for good reason. Good riddance. It did more damage to the channel than anything. If I had it to do over again, I would have done it the same way. I'm not going to apologize by taking a few opportunities because, you know, when I got presented the opportunity to do advertising for companies, it provided me the opportunity to interview CEOs, which is my favorite thing to do. I love talking to upper management and I love talking to board members. I was supposed to interview Brian Cunningham, who I believe was with CrowdStrike. They picked up two, one with Palantir and one with CrowdStrike. I believe he was associated with CrowdStrike and the original cybersecurity, national security strategy, et cetera, et cetera. And we never got to sync up this week for reasons that are to be determined. But we'll look forward to making that happen. But that's a cool idea. I know I have spot checked and I do the portfolio review on the live stream fairly often, not everyone, but it was just a couple of years where I was reporting out at 420. Remember when it was really, really bad? It had dipped all the way to $420,000. And that was after making the 500,000 mile mark and $500,000 mark, not mile mark. But you know, I've had some things happen since then too that's helped augment the routine here, and I'm firing on a lot of cylinders. You know, my job has a lot to do with my financial success. Okay, I know it would be awesome for social media to think that I just come on and I dream big and I think about a Ferrari all the time, and you know, by nature of my business dealings on the independent investor channel, that social media is going to take me to the promised land. That's all bullshit, all of it. Okay. I can appreciate people who come on and make their living on social. As a matter of fact, I don't really. If they do, wonderful. But the smoke screen that exists in that is rampant. I mean, look, if you're happy, wonderful. If you're able to support a family on it, great. If you're stressed to the max to appease an audience that you've never met before, I think that's sad. And I would venture to guess that there's probably a lot of people out there that would like you to believe the smokescreen and ignore the reality of the situation. But my shit's wired tight, okay, with regard to finances. Finances right now is wired effing tight, okay? And I don't expect you to come onto social media and be like, wow, this guy's done all this stuff because of social media. That's not the truth. Social media has played a part in it. My opportunities have played a part in it. And as of late, I thanked those guys this week on the panel for providing me opportunities to companies that did something, well, I don't know, kind of funny. They go up. I It's like, man, alive. Some of these companies, man, I do. I look back on every one of them that I covered to the channel, and like every one of them, they're like non-existent. They don't exist. You know, somebody made money. I mean, they paid me a small stipend to push it through the channel. Live and learn, that's for sure. And as of late, I don't take on any new business. I have exclusive contracts with three. Exclusive, not in writing, but by nature of me saying this is what I'm pledging to do. And I'm a man of my word. I do it. I've turned down a lot of business. People don't understand that. Man alive, Ryan, that's pretty cool that you do the live stream for free. Yeah, it is cool because in the face of me actually turning down fairly lucrative contracts, right, to remain exclusive with the companies that I can actually get behind in some capacities. I don't own them all. I own a little bit of Plurilock, and I own a really big position in Aduro relative to my portfolio. I don't own a share position in Charbonne, and I don't plan on it. That's just me. Based on my due diligence, it's not for me. It's not what I want at this time, and I have no intention of changing that approach. The other ones, Plurilock, I'm happy with my current position, and Aduro, you can see where my conviction lies with that particular name. That's where I'm at. All right. Those German gas cars take expensive 93 octane. Yeah, I know. And fuel in Europe is outrageous, right? Well stated. I totally understand. I was more referring to them flying by me in my Renault Clio, as opposed to me actually opting to purchase one of those. But they're pretty impressive when they fly by you on the Autobahn, going 150, 160 miles an hour. And I don't think they really care about putting those extra dollars with the 93 octane. I think I'm like, what is it? Super 95 in my Clio. So I'm just like, the fuel system's a little different in Europe, but all together, it's pretty expensive over there. But good stuff, man. Ryan, please test a few fully electric EVs. Yeah, hey, totally. I'm naive on it. I totally admit it. The funny thing about it is, man, I talk to a lot of people who own Teslas and they really like them. You say also to people in parking lots that have them, most charge at home with no problem, right? Yeah. So I've actually read on this, and it's naive to suggest that you have range anxiety when in reality, the majority of our mileage are consumed within locality, right? That I totally agree with. Look, here's the thing, David. Here's my 2 cents on it, man. If I get some stupid money into the future and the opportunity for me to get a Tesla, not a Tesla Model S or Model whatever, I'll get the Roadster. Okay. I'll get the Roadster and I'll blow it out online and be like, okay, boom. You know, that's the only car that I look at and I'm like, all right, that's badass. Okay. That's badass. I do feel you on that. And certainly I'm probably one of those to sit back for a while and observe a changing dynamic, right? As opposed to just always having to be on the front and I gotta have it, no matter what. You know, look, I have a vehicle in my driveway right now that I absolutely love. I absolutely love it. It's my second one. I bought a Toyota Tacoma. I kept it for 15 years. And this one I bought, I just paid it off a year ago. I own it. Uh, you know, I've operated it in the snow. I have a hard time believing that I could drive a Tesla in the snow. That's just me. I throw my Tacoma off road into four-wheel deal, and it's amazing. That's all I can say. It's just amazing. Um, But appreciate your comment. Very, very smart comment. And I appreciate you sharing it with the group. Very cool stuff, David. Thank you. Very cool stuff. Hey, for the last little bit here, I do want to cover everybody here. We'll do portfolio review. We'll go a little over. It's no problem. So I'm not going to jam it down at minute 60. But Jay, thanks for making your way in here. Shit, man, you appreciate my videos as long as you're making some coin. I don't really care so much about me. I appreciate the comment, I really do, but let's keep focus on where this project is aimed. And, you know, look, man, people who are working in this country, who are supporting families or supporting yourself, it doesn't even matter. We have got to wake up to the fact that we've got to wake up. We have got to wake up, man. The richer are getting richer. Real estate is becoming almost unachievable for people who can't save a down payment or don't know how or don't have the physical skills, let alone the psychological aptitude to put the tools together to actually save some coin for a down payment on a house, right? If your sole purpose is to use the independent investor channel to help you save money, I can do that because, like I said, I mean, this is the same shirt, right? Guys think I'm a cheapskate bastard. I'm not. Um, it's fine. It serves the purpose, man. It's a shirt that's now paying me back. All right. But it speaks to my conviction with regard to fiscal discipline. And hopefully that's what people get out of it. It's a cool comment, brother. I really appreciate you, man. I appreciate you being part of the channel. And hell, I just appreciate you. As long as you're making, progress on this deal and putting some coins together, man. It's not about what you show, man. It's really about what you physically have. And once you start physically having that stuff and it builds up, it's for you. It's not to compare stacks with anybody else. It's just, man, it's for you. And quite frankly, the people who want to maybe show stacks are probably the worst off in their application. And I would want to dig deeper to truly understand. Look, I'm happy. I'm happy as can be, because in reality of it, my happiness with regard to financial discipline has everything to do with me not being surprised that this has worked out. I pay attention. I put this stuff that I talk about to rigor. I don't spend like an asshole. I contribute every month. I take opportunities where I can, and I don't beat myself up when I have a bad beat. Okay. And I certainly don't, I don't apologize. I said this on the panel discussion, but yes, there's some cool opportunities out there. And I think with information and the availability of connecting good people on social media, I think we can kind of sow over the landscape and actually vet some interesting opportunities that are constantly on the churn, right? So some cool opportunities out there, man. They're not all going to work out. I get it, but what's the status quo, man? People are so quick to go and just spend their money on a lottery ticket that you're not going to win. It's super popular, man. People do it, you know? People do it. Yeah, dang it, man. If I win the lottery, I'm going to do this. If I win the lottery, I'm going to buy that Tesla Roadster. It's like, dude, I just deployed a strategy. I could go buy a Tesla Roadster tomorrow, if that's your thing, right? It's not my thing. You see the connection there, right? Let's jump in here and we'll take a look, see at the portfolio. Yep, there's the Orico position and the ACTHF, this Aduro position that will change, and nice bump in the portfolio. You're going to see that these accounts have grown sizably in value. This is my wife's account. I sold Disney in this account today. I can't do it anymore. Disney's the worst investment that I've invested in any company fundamentally the last 10 years. Was it my fault? No. Fundamentally, it was there. I just had no idea that they were going to go off on this tangent and become a political arm. And the business is suffering for it, and people are not having it. It's really, really unfortunate, man. So liquidated Disney today in this account. Okay. I still own a small position in the dividend portfolio. We'll continue to own that. I'm happy doing that. That's fine. This is my Roth. There's Amazon, NVIDIA, Broadcom, Plurilock, and Aduro. That's what I've got right now. Not a very well-rounded portfolio, but nonetheless, we're performing well and some pretty awesome conviction. And I do expect this to materialize over time, and it's going to be a lot of fun, man. When I think this does materialize the way that it will, to actually build this portfolio to safety, right? It will have bonds, it will have dividend stocks, it will have dividend ETFs, index funds. It may have some other diversified funds in it, but it's going to be fun to build out. We're not quite there just yet, but nonetheless, we're satisfied with the performance. Sector portfolio holding up nicely, over 30 grand. I'm happy. A lot of you guys enjoy the same portfolio. It's a cool way of doing it. I think I'm down about 500 week over week because of the digression over the last couple of days. But nonetheless, I'm happy, right? TSP, this is the one that gets funded pretty aggressively every couple of weeks. About $600 of inflows in this every 2 weeks, 1,200 per month, which equates to about 20% of my pay, 25%. So continue to dollar cost average those. There's the SEP I share with you guys, $1,215, a big deal. This account is swelled. This is the biggest position. This cost basis in here, I've got 25,000 shares of Aduro in this. Cost basis in Aduro is 72 cents. Yeah, it was 62 cents. I sold 10,000 out of this. It's the only sell I've done in Aduro over the last 2 point however many years I've owned it. So this is taking a little bit of appreciation. We're happy with it. I think we're just getting started. It's just my premonition. We'll see what materializes in reality. I am continuing to aggressively save to cash, and I have done this the last 6 months fairly aggressively. 250 a week. That goes in here to just cash. On top of the savings that I declared to you guys and in the other accounts. So will I start to deploy this cash? Perhaps. I'm carefully monitoring the landscape and will adjust accordingly. It's nice to have the option. I don't shit my pants and decide to just spend all this because the market's down 2 days. I don't do that. Okay. But I have it ready to go in case I want to take some strategic positions. I'm watching maybe a potential to enter into Costco, BlackRock on a digression, Eli Lilly, Meta in big tech. And that'll do it for me. Yeah. Those are some companies that I'd like to own that I don't currently own. I shared that last week with you guys. Here's the 401k. This is my wife's. She started this 2 years ago, almost up to the 10,000 threshold. This is 5%, the minimum contribution to this. What could you do, right, to make your first 10,000? That's the key, right? I had one of my good channel attendees, man. I said, do you look back over your time with the Independent Investor channel and did it make a difference? He said, Ryan, I'd still be searching for my first 10,000. He's got 100,000. Yeah. And I don't want to share too much. If I did, you'd be even more impressed, but it is possible. I don't care who you are. It is impressive. And those are the types of stories that I hear. And I'm like, dang, this stuff does work, man. This is great. Right. And the bottom line, 663, this would have been 675 had it not been for the last couple of days of digression. Aduro's held in there nicely. But we're happy with the progress. Hopefully next couple of years, we're able to materialize barring any major correction in the stock market. We'll have to see. You're looking at the portfolio that's probably in the camp of what I project on the channel to be. It's never as good as it seems, right? Again, it's never as bad as it seems. So the range that I've declared on tonight's live stream gives you some idea that I'm kind of in no man's land right now. 420 on the low end, here 663 being probably at the high of the portfolio. It's appreciated nicely. What does it mean? Well, it doesn't mean a whole lot. We're not even close to target yet, target retirement. We're absolutely progressing toward target in the portfolio. I mean, the rule of 72, if I were just to take it and go for the 8%, I could double the portfolio presumably in 7-8 years, right? Which, 1.2, 1.3, 1.445 million, right, in retirement. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I think maybe a couple of years off is not out of the picture. To go ahead and turn over to the 7-figure mark and then start to safeguard the portfolio. That's just what I think. So very good stuff. That's where we're at, guys. That was the portfolio review. You get Thomas Smith at the bottom here. I just clicked over to the comments. I hear you, Dave Ryan is too frugal, but every share count is in over 65,000. Oh, okay. Yeah, here we go. Dave's there. I would buy independent investor merch, but I'm buying more Aduro instead. Yeah, don't buy merch. We'll make that right down the line. The merch that's through YouTube sucks. It's horrible. Don't waste your money. I'll redesign everything when I have a chance down the line. If you're consuming the information and getting some benefit, it's all good. I have a sweatshirt. I like it. I wear it. But the Teespring, I believe, I haven't looked at it for a long, long time. Believe me on this, man. I get crap for offering merch on the channel. It's wild. I would say, in all honesty, that the merch sucks, the quality. So I need to find a really, really good vendor where I can take the branding and actually put it on a hat the way I want it, to put it on a quality sweatshirt the way that I want it, to put it on some sweatpants the way that I want it. And I would wear my logo. I love my imaging. I love my branding. Absolutely love it. It stands for something and I really enjoy it. I just don't like the way that YouTube does it. And of course, they, in true YouTube fashion, take 20% or something. It's stupid. So don't waste your money. Okay. I'm not one of those guys that needs to put food on the table by you buying coffee cups from me. I'm not like that. I was playing around with the design. I threw them on the channel. I purchased some of the original stuff. I do wear it. The t-shirts are decent. But no, we're going to find a new vendor someday when we blow this thing open. And I'm focused on blowing it open right now, David. So stand by for rolls. If you're part of the channel now, congratulations. It's pretty cool. Very cool. LP so way better now than cold. Yep. Awesome. You guys are having some discussion offline. I like it, man. It's very cool. Goes to $2. I'm buying some independent merch. Yeah. No, don't worry about that, man. If you wanted to give back to the channel, you could join the independent investor group. That's a give back to the channel. We appreciate that. Super chats are nice, but I encourage people not to do that either. Just because, again, YouTube steps in, takes their 20%. So it's like you can't win for losing, or you can just reach out to me independently. Just reach out, maybe we do a Zoom meeting, we talk, whatever's clever. It doesn't matter. But, that's your benefit. When I think that this thing has got to a point where I can actually realize my dream of doing a 24-hour live stream, because once I get going, I kind of want to just keep going. I get into that zone. I will do it. And Aduro just so happens to be the topic at hand. Like I said, I've got some really interesting conviction, and I'm not the only one. I've got some people that I converse with on a daily basis that believe that this is the real deal. And the further validation we get to this, pretty soon it's going to become blatantly obvious. Blatantly. I don't think it's blatantly obvious right now. What's going to be blatantly obvious is next generation reactors providing validation every single day with their multi-ton daily output of usable product to be introduced back into the circular economy. That's going to be the validation for me. But, stand by for rolls, man. It's a lot of fun. Doesn't mean that you have to, doesn't mean that you have to not have fun at this deal. I'm having fun. I have fun no matter what. It's just money. It's not the end of the world. I wish I could teach people to not be so, like, oh my God, I gotta have money. The more obsessed you are along those lines, I think the more inefficient you are on actually building wealth. I think your ability to take money, right, and separate from it and put it into different buckets, right? For me, people will say, "Oh, Ryan, Aduro, that's crazy." Well, for me, it's just a bucket of money. I have multiple buckets, right, of money. Some buckets are in Apple. Some buckets are in alternative investments. Some buckets are sitting down in my driveway in my paid off Toyota Tacoma truck, right? Different tools, right? I love tools. I love tools, right? some tools in the bucket down in the shed, right? Some things that other buckets where I invest, insurance, for example, right? Benefits that are intangible benefits that really, really do provide clarity on how important it is to have a holistic portfolio. Dental insurance. I talk about stuff like this all the time. And then stuff that really falls extremely high on my list of enjoyable things in life: jumping in a river for free, jumping in the Mediterranean Sea for free, going to the gym free of charge, right? Being passionate and liking my job. How much value do you put on that? I put a lot of value, right? I've had jobs that I wanted to absolutely tear my head off every day because it sucked. And just so happens I have a job now that I absolutely love. I love doing. Um, I love doing social media, but I love doing it to the extent that I do it, and that's it. I start doing daily content and I start to lose my marbles. I could probably do daily content in the context of me being in a place where I think I'm going and not having the obligation that I do with my main source of employment. Okay. I do enjoy social media, but to an extent. Okay. And I think where I can kind of solidify my program and prove out to people that it works. Again, that's not an arrogant statement. I just expect that people come onto the channel and be like, geez, I'm using some of the stuff that Ryan's talk about, and lo and behold, it's working. Right on. I mean, of all the things out there that are aimed to mislead you, I know over here, this is aimed to rip you off, and sure it does, and you got to overpay for this and overpay. You got just little old me in my Nike shirt coming on and talking about fundamentals and philosophies in stock market that I I think for the most part, can work for a lot of different people if they just get a few nuggets in place for themselves and deploy it. I think they can find some success in it. I really do. Vinay's in the house, man. Very cool. I think Total are serious about plastic recycling, but Shell are screwing around. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I have multiple theses on this. You know, I just what can I say? It's unfortunate, but you know, yeah, it's my gut feeling as well. It's really cool that you brought that up. I'm happy with the supplement to the to the Total news, but to go so far over time, is it not fair to ask questions? And I know, there's some schools of thought out there. Ryan, being in the program this long is a positive thing. Well, all right. I mean, since when does the non-disclosure of what's going on in the program become kind of a detriment to Aduro? Shell doesn't give a shit. Why? They don't care. That Shell will be fine. Shell will be fine tomorrow, and they'll be Shell next year, and it doesn't matter. It definitely matters to Aduro, and I think maybe this is like maybe a non-related kind of a step toward an independent posture with a very reputable major plastic producer. I don't know. Pretty awesome that you brought that up. He said, he says, sell everything. Are you serious? The only reason I mention that is because I there's some comments come through social media about, and I can tell by the stock action that there's people taking profit right here. I think it's absurd, right? And I merely suggested that I think people, not me, are making decisions based on looking at the stock and saying, okay, I'm up in the name. And as well as I do, sometimes holding a name when it's in the negative and being like, look, I'm convicted on this name. By God, I'm just not getting very good reciprocation from the stock itself, right? Sometimes that's easier than sitting on, prolonged profit for a long time, because you got to give some of that profit back over times. It's ebbed and it's flowed. Remember, it was my goodness, 6 months removed of it hitting the $1.20 mark for the first time, only to see the stock digress to the 92. And you got everybody saying, I should have sold at $1.20, you know. And I mentioned on the panel, I said it's 40 bits off of $1, which I look at it as kind of a base price for Aduro. Um, you know, and so I don't look at that as that big of a deal. So I didn't mean to be confusing there. I was merely suggesting that I think that there's a little bit of selling activity right now, um, and um, and that's just where we are. But appreciate your insights. Very cool stuff, man. Very cool. You still have Hylian? As of now, I do not. I have zero. Um, it's really, really difficult to look at a company that I have absolute conviction on, and then I look at this piece of shit. So right now, I don't. You know, it goes up 25% and it goes down 50%. It goes up 50% and it goes down 37%. I don't, you know, they just signed their latest. I still follow it. They signed a letter of intent to provide a Carno generator non-binding agreement. It goes on drones for pages on how the company doesn't have to. It's the same old shit, right? It's the same old thing. We've got LOIs for all of these orders out there. You know, I just saw the list and I felt so bad for Silent Alert, man. And I know he looked at it and he was like, God dang it, Ryan, you know, being an asshole again. But you know, Agility partnered with Amazon for CNG trucks. You know, that was the binding order for 1,000, which materialized into what? Zero? I'm going to continue to monitor the stock, but to be honest with you, I was on an initiative to trim some fat in the portfolio, take some profit where there was profit to be made, and live to fight another day. But it has become an impossible stock for me to own, and I understand there's people out there that don't really care. It could go to dust, and they wouldn't care. But that philosophy is such which allows them to come on and say holds no matter what. We're bullish on the name. Really, you got to tell me what you're bullish on, because I look at this management team and it starts with the top guy, Thomas Ely, and I'm quite frankly surprised that we're not in litigation at this point, instead of, you know, like celebrating what's going on with the company. I don't see what we're supposed to celebrate, you know. But appreciate the question. Hopefully you appreciate the answer. Very cool stuff. I can't let go of companies alike. Very good, guys. We went over on some bonus time. I know there's some people trickling out of the live stream. In all fairness to your guys' time, I do want to go ahead and get on with my evening if I could. We'll be back next Friday. Continue to offer the product. I love it. I love the live stream. I appreciate the support on the channel. It's a lot of fun. Very cool. Let's evaluate next week, and we'll be back to talk about it on the fastest 60 minutes on YouTube. Guys, have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next week.